Alright guys, I'm going to give you a bit of a lesson on how to use Claude Code. Now Claude Code is a tool that is advertised towards coders, but you can do all sorts of awesome things with this tool. So the first thing you have to do is you have to install Claude Code, and that's really easy. You basically just have to grab this little string here, and what you do is you bring up your command prompt, you type that in and you install it, and then it's going to want you to log in to Anthropic. And what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to create an account through console.anthropic.com, and you're going to have to go in to the billing section and you're going to have to add some credits. This seems like a lot of money, but you can do wild things, really cool things with this cache. The cool thing about this is it can deal with files on your computer, and it can work on them, and it can work on them as much as it wants, unlike Claude, which has context window limitations, if that makes sense. So what we do is we go in, we install it, we log in. Let me just check this, hang on. It's a bit loud for me. So then we look here. So we log in on the command line and we go Claude. Okay, we proceed. Now the first thing you want to do is you want to create a directory that you're going to work in. This is the directory where essentially you're working files. So what you do is you just say set my project folder to documents/vid. So this has access to your system, and you can go and you can find that. So now, and every step, if it wants to write a file, if it wants to read a file, it'll ask for permission. So it's not going to go off and do anything crazy. You can turn that off, but I don't like to. Okay, so now I've got users Timothy Beaver, documents vids. Now what we're going to do tonight is we're going to have a look at the state budget for Victoria. Okay, so here we've got these documents, and I think what we might do is go budget paper number 5, which is the statement of finances. And what we're going to do is we're going to download that. Let's download that into vid. Save. Okay, so it's in there. So now the agent has access to that file. But what I'm also going to look for is Labor Party political platform. Victoria. Here we go. So this is their platform. So what we're going to do is we're going to download that. And we're going to save that down in the same folder. So I'm just going to, for simplicity, I'm just going to call that platform. And I'm going to say this one is the budget. Okay, so what we can now do is we can now work with these files. So I could say, I would like you to behave like a political analyst. I'd like you to review the budget.pdf, and without any bias, I'd like you to examine the budget in extreme detail and please identify the winners in the budget and the losers in the budget. Okay, then I would like you to review the Labor Party platform in platform.pdf in the working folder, and I'd like you to categorize the interest groups Labor is supporting in the budget as per its policy platform, and then also highlight the people that might be marginalised or targeted in the budget for worse off outcomes. Please do this analysis without bias and provide clear descriptions of what's going on and categorize them neatly. Output the results in a HTML file and save it in the project folder. Okay, run. You got to be careful with Claude. It's got a lot of filters in it. It'll do this kind of work, but if it thinks you're doing like misinformation or something, it's not going to allow you to do it. So what we're doing here is we're actually converting those PDFs into text files. That's another thing about AI. Word documents and PDFs, it really doesn't like. And so the moat around Microsoft and Adobe is very much going to get obliterated. So it's obviously exceeded the file size, so it's going to break it into portions. The cool thing is it'll programmatically break all these things down for us. So these tokens are what you're consuming to do this task. Okay, so it's sucked the budget text out. This is basically doing all the programming tasks to get the data so it can work. Now it's analysing it. It's obviously breaking it into pieces. And if you notice, this is quite a complicated orchestration. So people that say that AI can't reason are just wrong. LLMs can't reason, but if if you put a code interface over the top, the agentic, it's 100% reasoning. That's the thing that's going to take all the jobs. And sometimes when you're doing work, you can just, you can basically, you just go and have a coffee while it works. Okay, so now it's red to identify the winners and losers. And it's passed that into memory. Now it's reading and analysing the platform file. Again, it's going to have to do some programmatic work to get the text out. So it's obviously found the file. There is a version of this tool, OpenAI has one. I think it's called Codex CLI, OpenAI. And Google has one as well. I think it's just called Google Gemini CLI. The Google Gemini one is interesting in that it allows 1,000 prompts per day, and it allows, I think, 5 prompts a minute for free. So if you don't go too fast, it doesn't actually cost you anything. Anthropic is by far the most expensive, but at the moment it seems to be superior in its performance. That's what I've found, and that's what I think a lot of people say. This is actually quite a big job because there's 200 pages of content. Okay. Now just imagine what you could do with this with any task. It might be you have a piece of work and you want to align it to a strategy, or you might have you might want to write a user document for a bunch of users based off the service manual. You may want to take a tender document and take some of your prior materials and basically write the first draft of the tender in language that's like yours and your company's inputs. It could be you have a whole series of articles or something that you want to turn into some kind of essay or paper. You could put all of your files, and there's no limit. I mean, it's read 2 files. You could put 50 files in there if you wanted. And that's going to cost you because you're going to have to read them all. But you could put all of those files in there, and then you can give it a precise outline of what you want. Now this, I just had like a rudimentary prompt, but what I could do is I could, in that folder, put a specific structure with a specific set of criteria, and I can point it at it, and I can say, I want the agent to go and analyse these details, think through the problem, and write the output precisely like this file. Now that file you can create yourself, or you can have AI create it for you ahead of time. So AI is not just about writing a prompt or doing something once. It's about layering and working with the agent and the data to get the outcome. Okay, there we go. So it's written my report for me. It's here. So let's grab it. Let's have a look. 108 billion total revenue, 9.96, debt 194 billion, total revenue, total expenses, cash deficit, the winners. The hospitals are going to be a big winner. The education sector, a big winner. Transport, obviously. Housing. The budget losers. Major tax increases. Emergency services levy, 57% increase. Payroll tax. Debt levy. Mental health and wellbeing. Congestion. Property owners and developers are going to cop it. Departments with operating deficits, transport, justice, jobs, programs facing sunset. Okay, so these are their core platforms. So small business is getting screwed. There's limited specific climate funding. That's interesting. Marginalised groups. Private sector employees in high tax industries, small landlords and property investors, casual and temporary workers, regional communities, high emission industries, communities relying on sunset programs, transport users in deficit areas. Targeted for worse outcomes, fossil fuel, labour hire companies, retail gaming. The interest is going to rise. There you go. So it just did that analysis for me. Now I can cut that any way I want now. I can write another prompt, I can re-engineer that, I can use that data, and all of the memory of what I've just created is already in the agent. So if I wanted to say, let's just quickly show you. So if I wanted to say, I work for the leader of the opposition and I'd like to create 20 lines for a speech on why this is a bad budget for Victoria, where would I hone in on? Please use Cialdini persuasion principles to create the output in HTML format. So here we could use the stack. The stack has all this information we need. I've just named the guy, but you could also load in the stack data if you're willing to go and cut and paste it all, put it in your own folder. I might find a way to be able to get that data for you in Notion. I've got to figure out how to do that. So what we're doing here is we're analysing. We're just going to create 20 persuasive opposition lines. And so what we could actually do is, when a policy announcement comes out, we could basically have it analysed. I mean, I'll be doing this for what, 15 minutes or something. We could have it analysed and we could have all the lines ready almost instantly. So we'll see what this comes back with. Okay. So So there's my file, just let it finish. Okay. Debt and fiscal responsibility. There you go. It's created all the lines. They're pretty good too. Straight on to renters. They promise a housing bill while increasing taxing on housing. You know, this is better than what they're currently using. And because it uses Robert Cialdini, it's actually awesome. Awesome content. There you go. Pretty cool, huh?